Space Quest 3, The Pirates of Pestilon. This does bring back memories. This is a game I played in the early 90s when I was 10 or 11. This could have been me at the time. I was very fascinated with computer games from an early age. I was pretty good at them, even the fast-paced ones. But I think my interest was that it was exploring alternate realities. And if that was my interest in computer games, then Space Quest 3 was really spot on. At the time, we had an IBM PS2. Some of you are perhaps familiar with this machine. And it was not easy coming by games at the time because, well, internet was unheard of. But in this case, with Space Quest 3, my older brother, who was himself not very interested in computer games, he had found the box with the discs in a garbage bin. It looked like this. I don't have the original box. But I do have the discs. There were the floppy disks, the 5 1/4 inch variety, this sort, and there was also the 3.5 inch discs, which were able to contain more data. So there were just 3 of them and 5 of the others. So I installed Space Quest 3. It all starts out with you drifting around in a lifeboat, so to speak, in space. You're sucked into a big garbage collecting spaceship, and you need to figure out how to escape, which you eventually do by finding a spaceship among all the rubble, repairing it, and eventually getting it back into working order. Now, me, being just 10 or 11, really struggled with the English. Like, what does this even mean? But I had old school dictionaries, and I could ask my parents about certain words. And sure enough, after many hours of struggling, I did manage to find all the necessary items and repair the ship. And in case you ever want to play Space Quest 3, I will not give you any spoilers, but that is a major milestone in the game. Once you get the ship working and you take off, you blast a hole in the hull of the garbage collector ship, and you're a free man to roam the space in your very own ship. And that was just an euphoria for me as a kid once I reached that point. And then sort of the story progresses to the next level. And I'll not say more. Graphics of computer games of this time were typically a resolution of 320 times 200 pixels, being able to show 16 colors at the same time from a fixed palette. And this was referred to as EGA graphics. Not knowing of any other technology, I was very fascinated by this. I tried myself using pixel graphics programs to make my own images. And I studied the techniques very closely of these artists from games such as Space Quest 3. Take, for example, that introduction sequence when your lifeboat is sucked into a beam of light. I looked at such things with great interest and tried to recreate similar things myself. I was also very interested in tampering with the settings and figuring out what would happen. There was a setup program for the game where you could change to an even more primitive graphics mode which was called CGA, and that could only display 4 colors at the same time, which were black, white, pink, and light blue, and it looked absolutely awful. But I was still very captivated by it because I realized that the computer automatically recalculated all the pixels with these other colors. And I can't say why exactly it was important to me figuring these things out, but for some weird reason, it gives me some kind of delight even today. It could also be mentioned that there is a kind of art subculture called synthwave, which is a kind of romanticized 80s. And the signature colors of this art subculture is black, white, pink, and light blue. And I'm not sure if people realize why that is so, but I'm quite certain it has got to do with that graphics mode CGA from the early 80s. I was also interested in figuring out how stuff worked in other ways, studying, for example, the directory structure of the files, trying to figure out what they were. I realized that if you examined a save game file, if you looked at the text in a text editor, you could actually make out certain words. Because in the save game file, there's a list of all the items you can potentially pick up and add to your inventory in the game. So by looking in the save game file, you could get a clue as to what to look for in the game. Yes, of course, the 11-year-old me was very proud of my achievement, even though it was cheating a little bit. Looking at a game like this, you realize, of course, that games have changed a lot since then. The games today are objectively just straight up better, but the gaming experience is not necessarily better. A major difference, perhaps even the greatest difference between then and now, is that today you can just Google everything when you're stuck. But at that time, you had to figure stuff out yourself. As a kind of testimony to how fascinated I was by this game, I actually found recently when I was cleaning at my summer house out in the countryside, I found some old drawings. Apparently, I must have been there in the summertime, and I was away from my computer, but all I could think about was Space Quest 3. So I'm drawing a comic that is this guy, the protagonist, Roger Wilco, him crashing in the garbage container ship and trying to get out. And that is also, of course, a testimony to how immersed I was in the game experience. I still today, I really like immersion. Yeah, I think I've run out of things to say. Thank you for watching.